Hi everybody. So I wanted to talk about the earthquake that had just happened, well, earlier yesterday. Right now it is 2:53 in the morning, Pacific Domestic Time, here in California, Southern California. So as many of you might have already heard, there was a 5.1 magnitude earthquake that had happened August 20th at around 2:41 p.m. and with a shallow depth of 3.1 miles. So, as I see it, as I've been looking through this, I mean, obviously you can see all the clusters that have been forming in, but there have been a multitude of earthquakes that have happened previously. Watch, let's see. So, prior to the 5.1, we had, these are all the aftershocks, and there is the clusters. Look at that, historical clusters. So previous to the 5.1 was around 22 hours prior to that. There was a 2.1. August 19th there was a 2.1, 2.0, 2.5, 2.0. So there have been quite a bit of events that were prior to this bigger event. So starting from, let's see, 2022, that's July 5th, July 29th, August 21st, August 23rd, September 24th, October 13th, October 28th, December, January. So there's been a few small magnitudes, pretty much probably shaking up the ground to release the energy that unfolded as far as being a 5.1 magnitude. So let me show you exactly where this happened. Oops. Let me give you a better map. Okay. So this area is a thrust fault. Basically, this is what's creating these mountains that you see right here. See, big old mountain. All right, showing you this area. And so what I found out is that within the city, Ojai, there's a lot of oil fields. Basically, the problem with oil fields is that there's a lot of abandoned oil fields. They call them orphan oil fields. Basically, there's so many. There's companies, corporations, LLCs, people that just go and drill, and say they run out of money. Say they, don't find enough crude oil or whatever they're seeking enough to be profitable. Sometimes when they don't have enough money, they won't even plug it. There's not a whole lot of rules and regulations that require the plugging of an oil well, basically, which is horrible, because leaving it opened, quote unquote orphaned, basically runs the risk of a hazard. It can release noxious gases that leak into the environment, like methane, and just ridiculous. Like it's horrible, and it runs a risk towards aquifers, basically what's underneath our land. Oops. That gives us our water. That's why some places here in California, like, you can't really drink out of the tap because it just tastes weird. And it's probably because of the unplugged wells, the over-surmounting amount of unplugged wells. So here, I'll show you where this quake happened. was right in between the Santa Ana fault zone and the Lion Canyon fault zone. So, let's see. I wrote so much stuff. Basically, well, the Santa Ana, it's not the San Andreas fault zone. It is at the lower end, not the lower end. It kind of coincides with it, but it's like a railroad system, you know. Some cross, some don't, some are parallel, blah blah blah. It's kind of like the same thing with fault zones. So the Santa Ana fault zone has four sections, basically, like the Mission Ridge fault system. It's basically a east striking system that steeps southward, and it folds. Basically, that's why there's mountains, and that's what creates the mountains. So there's a lot of oil underneath these mountains, basically. So let's talk about Ojai. Ojai is a city in Ventura County, kind of near Santa Barbara, as you can see. The valley is part of the east-west western transverse ranges. It's about 10 miles long by 3 miles wide, and it's divided into an upper and lower valley. They're both around similar sizes. So there's a lot of different fault zones that run across this area. Most of them are small, but some of them do run into the San Andreas fault. So let's see. Let's go here. Yeah. So these are all the aftershocks that have, not all of them, just some of them that are at least significant. And basically this quake, it could be significant, like as far as being something that is a foreshadowed event. I kind of don't really think so, but I'm not really sure. Who really knows, right? So this fault is a strike slip fault. Basically, it's mostly a surface faulting area, and it dips at 70 degrees upward, or 35 to 70 degrees dips near vertical, as you can see. Don't fall over there. That would suck. But a study was made in a report of a study that was made in the year 2000 showed that this fault was mostly to be blind at the western end, and it's mostly a surface faulting zone at the eastern extent. So this area also produces a lot of there's a lot of oil around here. Like, look at this. What are they doing? What is that? What is that? These people are probably, I don't know. There's a lot of oil zones that have been abandoned in this area. So one thing that I can say that is good about Biden being in office is that he started the American Jobs Plan, which is an act that to remedy orphaned wells, basically plugging them, with concrete or what else? Just basically plugging it up, filling it back up, instead of just leaving it alone and just letting it just like seep, or just, just be how it was when they left it, which is horrible. It's not good for the planet at all. And there's hundreds of thousands of these all across our country. You know, I don't know if you've heard any of my previous videos, but this area, LA especially, is known for a lot of oil being underneath the ground, you know, below the aquifers or whatever. That's why there's you can see a lot of places where it's marked off, where like they're just like drilling, trying to get oil, you know, all these, you know, rich tycoons, oil tycoon people just drilling our planet, making perforations, and they're like, oh, why is this happening? Why is there earthquakes? It's like, because you drilled a hole. Anyways, but yeah, the thing about the American Jobs Plan is that I find it's a good start, is that, you know, they want to create jobs for people to go to all these abandoned wells and drilling sites and, you know, fill them up, basically. Let's see. Fill them up, basically, so, you know, it doesn't, like, leak noxious gases into the atmosphere. But problem is that the administration is only asking for $16.8 billion, which, yeah, that does sound like a lot of money, but it's really not enough for the amount that we've already done to the planet, our land at least, which a study shows that the amount that would be, you know, at the higher end that's better is about $110 billion. Well, according to the Interstate Oil and Gas Compact Commission, that's what they say. So, yeah, that's basically like a dime compared to what's needed. So, let's see what else I can talk about with this event. I mean, some people have their, you know, pre-projections that this event could be something foreshadowing. I'm not entirely sure. We can only know when it happens. Oh. Oh my goodness. We can only know when it happens. So all this gray area that you see, these little gray spots, those are all oil fields. And within each gray spot, there's a multitude of wells that have been drilled out. You know, people just, oh, there might be oil here, and they drill, and it's like, you know, not profitable enough, so they'll drill somewhere else. But sometimes they don't even cover it up, and those perforations can cause, I call them shivers, you know, earthquakes, basically. The ground's like, earthquakes, it breaks, you know, and especially with Hurricane Hillary that has come through in our area, the amount of water California is not really used to, especially, you know, in our drier areas like the higher desert, it just seeps into the cracks, you know, kind of melts down the ground, and it could loosen, and it could cause, you know, events like the earthquake we saw today. So basically, I wanted to talk about that earthquake. There was a lot of smaller quakes that happened prior to the 5.1 that happened yesterday. We can talk about that one later. I just wanted to talk about this, and I hope all of you are safe. And now that you can see at least a generalized idea of what happened, there's Ojai, gray areas all. If you can see underneath the J, you see that small gray area? That's pretty much where the epicenter was for the 5.1. So I'm not making any judgment thinking that that's where it was, that's what happened, it was the well. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not a professional. This is just my observation, and I'm just giving you guys my insight. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and stay safe, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.